So I'm going to give you guys a little view of the Oceans Hub. We'll get that up here in a second. Essentially, we are a collaboration network, and so we enable collaboration within our community. We're aiming to connect some of those collaboration tools with the Ocean Climate Fund. The first one is the concept of coalitions, and the second one is the concept of systems. This exists already within the OCF. So if you go to oceanclimatefund.com, you can actually go there now if you have a phone or laptop, oceanclimatefund.com, and you can see the partner page. These are the community partners that have already signed up and who are engaging with us around collaboration for this project. If you have a Hub ID, a digital identity, you can log in to the system and you can then see just the very, very, very beginnings of the work that's happening on coalitions and systems. So the idea for a system is really coming from work that we did with governments during the pandemic. And the systems are ways for us to organize collective work around some of these topics. Then within the systems, nesting in a holonic way, are coalitions. The coalitions are ways for the community partners to surface projects and ideas for consideration by the rest of the group. Now, this is work that's happening inside the OCF, but we haven't started talking about it until right now. This is the first moment where we're beginning to reveal more of the overall strategy of what we've been thinking about. Now, intersecting with that is a contribution from Hub Culture, which is essentially the collaboration hub. Any of you are able to join the Oceans Hub, and this is a collective working space for us to be able to share ideas and to generate governance. So the governance component, actually here we are at our Ocean Hub. I'm going to move over to the side, and as we slowly scroll down here, you can begin to see what this looks like. You see some of our partners that are featured here. We have some information on this hub. You can kickstart projects and upvote governance in a collective way. So all of those 96 hubs within the Sustainable Ocean Alliance, other community members are able to work. If you scroll back up just a little bit, you can schedule an ocean-related event. So if you are doing something related to oceans, you can schedule that through our event technology, which is the same thing you use to get here, to be able to share an ocean-related event. You also have discussions, so we can start a discussion right now within this group. So you can find this hub just by going to hubculture.com and then searching for Hub Oceans to be able to join this and begin to work with it. The other thing is projects. We haven't really begun with this yet, but you'd be able to go in and create projects and notes and set new projects. So if a community partner has a project that they really care about, they can launch that project here and find ways for other people to collaborate in that project. Go a little bit farther. We have governance as well. So this is two of the really interesting things that I think are kind of groundbreaking, and we intend to, over the next few months, build this directly into the Ocean Climate Fund environment. Right now, there's a division between what's OCF and what's Hub. We're obviously inside of Hub right now. But if you click Propel Governance, you'll see that we have this governance structure that allows us to build voting and other components for this. We have something called Agree, which are automated general rules for entering engagements. It's basically like a contracting service with templates that can allow you to create agreements easily with other stakeholders. If you scroll down a little bit more. Right now, this is part of our collective work. We're going to add a new governance statement to Hub Ocean. So we'll go ahead and click that. And I'm going to ask you guys to think about our first governance statement for the OCF. So what would be something that we would want to think about? If you click this category select button, you'll see that we have three types of governance statements. We have principles, policies, and planks. So it could be a principle that's related to our overall view and our principles. It could be a policy, which is basically essentially a rule. And a plank is a component of a policy. So these things are designed to be holonic and interchangeable because all of these tools can be mixed and matched into other aspects of what we're doing. So, I mean, what do you guys want? Principle, policy, or a plank? Are we on? Yeah, okay. Okay, you need me. Have a look at this. If you want to look at this ocean side here real quick, I'll come back in a minute, probably with our Zoom group. But this is how we're going to begin to build the contribution of information and voting from the system, because this system is also votable with the rest of the community. So if you upwell an idea, it can get voted. That can then get exported over to the coalitions and the systems. This is the beginning of the collaborative system that we're building to help drive the grassroots component of the OCF. I'll be right back. The real goal for us is to be able to create new methods of information sharing. Now, from a funding standpoint with this project, we haven't even begun to raise capital yet. That's one of the questions that people always ask is like, when do you expect to see capital and money? So I want to explain the concept of our arteries and capillaries. The arteries are basically bigger institutions like the Green Climate Fund, IFC Ventures, and then institutional or sovereign level investors. And we are having conversations. We've reached out to over 25 countries now to tell them about the project and to begin a process for engagement that involves a very sophisticated approach to request support from countries at the kind of emotional level. That then goes back and feeds into the GCF environment, and from there can result in capital that gets deployed. Some organizations and groups, even at the billion-dollar level, have been working, like some of the bigger banks, have been working for more than 3 or 4 years to be able to attain certification to be able to issue funds through GCF funding. There's groups that are essentially what are called accredited institutions with the GCF who are able to deploy projects such as a Global Fund for Coral Reefs, which is one of the most successful ocean-linked projects to date. However, there are dozens of funds that are connected to capital from the Green Climate Fund that are deploying into different projects. But we're not going to focus only on that because we know that that process will take a long time, and we want to see faster action at a more grassroots level in the coming year. So the first step for us was to plan and to begin the conversation with these types of organizations while in parallel opening the setup of the fund, which is now open and headquartered in Bermuda, which is where we're also headquartered. So that is the first anchor home of the fund. There are already conversations about secondary locations that would feed in to a kind of global matrix for that. The next step for us is regulatory. So we've begun the regulatory process for application review from the Bermuda government for the fund to operate. From that, you have a process with something called accredited investors to find and to clear accredited investors who would be qualified to put money into the fund. And then, of course, to look at the investment theses that they want to invest in to make sure that it aligns with the fund so they can potentially invest. That requires some work and research. And alongside that, we believe that big capital won't come without academic involvement and the support of academic partners who are helping us to scale ideas and initiatives into the process. Now, on a separate and parallel track is the development of the community partner program. The community partners are extremely important for helping us to build a community-oriented voice into the process of the fund, but also to secure ideas and potential partners for investment. Many of the community partners that have already signed up are doing projects that are related to the ocean and become investable, connected projects. There's also other groups who are working on communications or law or other things that aren't really in the focus of investment, but which could be helpful for helping us think about the big picture of how ocean action can be achieved at a better scale. So connecting all these things together is going to be a really important process that's going to take time. So we don't want to promise that all of this is going to be, at $1 billion level tomorrow, but we do know that in partnership with the Green Climate Fund, they do expect this to be a fund that will eventually be over $1 billion. When we talked to Andre from the GCF, the deployment of capital at scale for the types of solutions that are needed for adaptation, mitigation, and resilience is large. And so this isn't going to be the only way that that happens, but it could be an important way that that happens, especially once we get national projects aligned with the fund. Some of the countries that have given us positive indications so far include the Bahamas, Bermuda, St. Vincent. There's some conversations happening in Costa Rica, some really good conversations in Brazil, in Togo, in Morocco. There are some conversations happening. All of these are going to be slow because it's governments. And so, again, we have this Green Climate Fund national level artery that's going to be slow moving. But over here on the other side, we have the community partners who are going to be able to work with us to launch coalitions and to begin to develop projects that we can hopefully put a little bit of money into as and when we find investors to put in. So that gives you an overview of the kind of system that we're creating. I think it's going to be really important to evolve it over time. That takes technological investment. So we are spending now, not only for the setup and the legal and things like that, but for technological development of the website and the ability to host people from the community in a way that will be useful for them. So that kind of gives you a bit of an overview. If some people show up on the Zoom, we'll come back and continue that conversation. But I'd love to answer any questions you might have now that are general from the day or focused on the overall project, if you have any. Yeah. Here comes the mic, yeah.
From a Bermuda-specific perspective, I know they're just launched their Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Plan, and they're launching an Oceans Fund as a part of that to inspire entrepreneurs on island and also ocean-based investments. And since you're based in Bermuda, is there any potential for collaboration? Because I know that they haven't started fundraising for it either, but there's so much synergy between the two.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with BOP, the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Plan. This has been a probably 4-year process in Bermuda. We first talked about it in the Bermuda Sprint that we hosted with a bunch of people in Bermuda back in 2019. And so that's also part of the work that different countries are doing for their own marine spatial plans. So most of these island states are creating their MSPs, which are part of their process for figuring out 30 by 30, which is the development and conservation areas connected to their global development plans. So these all kind of fit into long-term plans that are connected to the arc of the country, and the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity is very much a part of that. We're friends with half the people that have been working on that, and they know a little bit about this, and we know a little bit about that. I think that from a fund perspective, they're very focused on Bermuda and bringing in projects to Bermuda with, and that's something that we would, of course, want to be supportive of. However, global, and it's really actually probably a little bit more tech-oriented in the sense that we're looking for projects that can conceivably be applied on a world basis, and sourcing technologies from the academic sector that would be scalable in different markets. Again, it's still really early days. We're going to be relying first on community partners to figure out what's important and what's possible in terms of where we can go with investment. Are we going to swap mics? Thanks. I don't know if it's my voice falling or it's been a long day of talking for me. So yeah, but great question. And yeah, we have so much to do and so many people to talk to. It's incredible once you start diving into the community, how many stakeholders. Honestly, that's why Sustainable Ocean Alliance, Wisdom Keepers, Ocean Visions, the World Ocean Council, they alone have 2,000 organizations within them. So working with those pivot point organizations, with Aura, with Woods Hole, with Scripps, there's certain leverage points within the community where we can actually get a lot done by tapping into their expertise and just listening and learning from them. And then on the other side, looking at ways that we can scale the impact of these things by bringing in new investors and creating new opportunities. One of the things I'm very excited about with the project is the work we're doing with EverCity and Hub ID, which is our digital identity, to try to link and lower the pain point of just becoming a participant, either as a partner or as an LP. Because you have all these rules around how investment can work and who can invest from what countries, that kind of thing. And that requires due diligence on those customers. And the entire global finance industry spends a lot of money working on that just from a compliance standpoint. Those compliance issues are going to be very important for us, as well as our search for a chief investment manager who would be responsible for final decisions with regard to the community for the deployment of capital into the projects. Welcome. Nice to see you guys here. Any questions?
Thank you. My name is Yernar. We came from Kazakhstan, from the other side of Caspian Sea. We are part of GEOS program. We was invited by Leonardo here. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's very interesting. We will see further information.
One of the interesting things that we're discovering is the important role that even Azerbaijan can play, but also other countries that aren't considered ocean countries. Mongolia, Azerbaijan, there are other countries that we've been talking to, just specifically within the COP process. One of the really interesting things that's emerged from this week has been a letter that we issued to the Azeris asking for a $10 billion commitment toward oceans in the context of the finance COP here. So there's a $500 billion goal or target, which people are hoping for, but it's not necessarily clear that we'll reach that target with an agreement from this meeting. But if they do reach an agreement, or in whatever communique, we've asked for something called the Ocean Signal. This is important for SOA. The Ocean Signal would be a $10 billion commitment toward ocean work coming out of this COP. And we thought that would be incredible for a country like Azerbaijan to be leading on that front, for thinking globally as a global leader. Same for Kazakhstan. We've talked to Morocco, to Ghana, a few other countries about this idea to say like, hey, we don't need specifics, but what if there was an ocean signal coming from this COP? And the reason that's important is because it's important, but also it's timing. So from a timing perspective, next year we'll be in Brazil, and a lot of the focus will be on forest and agriculture. Rightly so, it's the home of the Amazon. Brazil is planning a lot on ocean, but we know it's going to be about the Amazon. So the next COP is the Ocean COP, which will happen in Australia. And think about that, that's 2026. If we can have an ocean signal now, working the next 2 years to align bigger ocean outcomes, when we hit that Ocean COP in 2026, we're going to have a bigger platform to work on for ocean solutions, which are very vast solutions. And you figure that a 2026 commitment would probably be deployed by 2028 at the earliest, and then suddenly you're at 2030. So it's really important that all of us in the ocean community work for an ocean commitment from this COP so we can get the train moving. We can't afford to wait until Australia to get the train moving on official commitments from the COP for oceans. That's something Kazakhstan could really help with, because not just ocean-based or big ocean states advocating, like chickens vote for chickens, I guess, or turkeys vote for turkeys at Thanksgiving. But the idea that like a state like Kazakhstan or Azerbaijan can play a role in advancing ocean protection is huge. And also it would be a big win, because I don't think anybody's expecting an ocean project to come out of this COP. At the very least, you all are part of something big, because these last 3 days, we announced the fund on Wednesday in the Blue Zone. We had this day today. We can all say that the private sector is working on an ocean solution that was born at this COP. I think that's something we can all be proud of. And it's our partners who've been here today who've made that possible too. So we appreciate that. Any other questions? Thank you.
Stan, thank you so much for this day. I'm very impressed by your leadership and by the system and by the project that you created. I find that this day was the best on COP in terms of the quality of meeting and inspiration and how the system should exist. And I'm very happy that you have Russian speaking founders as well. So by the way, the Kazakhstan, our brothers from Kazakhstan, you have an amazing project in Caspian Sea, and 5 countries who are involved in this project. And the Kazakhstan is a big example for all of us, for Russia, for Azerbaijan, and for other countries as well. So thank you so much for organizing these events, lots of insights, and I feel the very organic energy here. So it seems like we know each other for many years.
Yes.
And hopefully, yes, please, I will be really happy to see you in Tanzania. You're welcome to visit our event end of March. And please, let's be in touch with everybody. And thank you for this day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We had such a wonderful conversation this morning, and even thinking about how Tanzania, the African Union, can be participating in this project. It really is a community effort. We're a social network, so this is the way we do things. I think it'd be great for us to be able to mix and mingle now. If some people join the Zoom, we can talk to them. I'd encourage you all to look at the Ocean Hub. If you're an individual, to get involved and just get part of that conversation. And if you have an organization or you know an organization working on ocean-related issues, ask them to become a community partner. That's the way we're going to make this happen. Thank you. And also, we have tomorrow some ending things. I'm flying tonight to Rio for G20. So our team will be here the next 3 or 4 days, mostly in the blue zone. But this has been a great hub, and Hedera, the UN Global Compact, Foreign Policy, GLOCHA, EverCity, and the Digital Innovation Pavilion inside the Blue Zone have been some of our partners here. It's been an amazing week, and wouldn't be here without them. So we really do thank all of those partners for helping to create this. And to Andre and Alexi, who are the co-founders of the Ocean Climate Fund, we'll see you guys on the next conference call. Thank you.